Today we're looking at shooting modes. Do you have to shoot in manual mode for good food photography? Can you get great images shooting in aperture or shutter priority? And even automatic modes, can you get great results letting the camera do all the thinking? We'll answer these questions today as it relates to food photography and more. Coming right up. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and here we talk about food photography. If that's something that floats your boat, I'd recommend that you hit the subscribe button, and while you're down there, tap on the bell icon to get notified when new videos get released. It's been a while since I made a video and put it up on YouTube. I've been dealing with some personal stuff, and while it hasn't kept me from posting, it really did drain me of a lot of my motivation for making videos. And to be honest, I wasn't really shooting a lot of photos either. And while I'm not completely through all of that, I have gotten to a place where my love of making these videos has come back, and I'm excited to get this one up. I've also been shooting a good bit, which you'd know if you follow me on Instagram. So what does it mean to shoot manually? Simply put, it means you're making all the decisions for each camera exposure setting. These three settings are aperture, shutter priority, and ISO or ISO. They're also sometimes referred to as the exposure triangle. Each of these three settings needs to be set correctly to gain a desired exposure. The aperture is a setting that affects your lens and the blades within it. A wider aperture, like a low number like 2.8, allows your lens to let in more light and creates a shallow depth of field, kind of blurring the background and emphasizing your subject. A narrow aperture, which is a high number like f11, lets in less light but keeps both foreground and background sharp. I've got a video that goes into much more depth on that, on aperture, the depth of field, right here if you're interested. The shutter speed controls how long the camera's eye stays open, the sensor, allowing a specific amount of light to travel through your lens to reach the sensor of your camera, or film if that's what you're using. A fast shutter speed, like 250th of a second, freezes action, perfect for catching that sauce pour or a splash. A slower shutter speed will let in more light for low light situations such as dark restaurants. You can also create artistic effects like blurred motion to show action happening, like kneading a bread dough or shaking a cocktail. ISO, which stands for the International Organization for Standardization, represents sensitivity to light as a numerical value. A higher ISO allows the sensor to increase its light intake and lets you shoot in darker environments. But there's a drawback as well, as high ISO numbers introduce a digital noise that can make your images look grainy. For some cameras, this can start as low as ISO 800. While learning to shoot in manual mode won't necessarily make you a better photographer, it does force you to understand the fundamental relationships between light, exposure, and the final image. This knowledge translates well to any shooting situation, even when using the automatic modes. However, manual mode isn't for everybody, and why some photographers prefer automatic modes. It's very convenient in some fast-paced situations. To allow the camera to do some of the thinking for you just helps. Constantly adjusting settings can kind of slow you down. Automatic modes can handle basic exposure and focus quickly, allowing you to capture fleeting moments. The three automatic modes that we're talking about today basically are shutter priority, aperture priority, and then fully automatic. When you're in aperture priority mode, you select the aperture or the f-stop you want to use, and the camera will select the shutter speed to give you optimal exposure. This allows you to control the depth of field you want for your image and works best when there's plenty of light. Just be careful in the light situations where the camera may choose a shutter speed so slow that your images just get blurry from hand holding perhaps. On the other hand, the shutter priority allows you to select the shutter speed, while the camera will select the aperture. This works great if you're trying to freeze motion or use motion blur as a creative element for your photograph. And again, you'll get the best results when there's plenty of light. In darker situations, you may need to make sure that the depth of field doesn't get too shallow as your aperture opens up and lets in more light. Lastly, the full auto mode forces the camera to make all the decisions. It will analyze the scene and choose an exposure that it thinks will capture the best image. This can be hit or miss depending on your shooting conditions, but more times than not, you'll get a decent image out of the full auto mode. The best mode depends on the situation and your experience level. Beginners, you're probably more suited to focusing on composition and learning the basics of photography. Automatic modes can be great, a great starting point, allowing you to experiment with different framing and lighting situations without getting bogged down in the technical details of the exposure triangle. If you're an intermediate or somewhat experienced photographer, you're a little bit more comfortable with composition and basic camera functions, you may want to start dipping your toes into manual mode, experiment with different settings and control environments to understand their impact. For you advanced photographers, you know that mastering manual mode opens a world of creative possibilities and allows you to react quickly to challenging lighting situations. However, you're not afraid to leverage the priority modes when speed or convenience is crucial. Obviously, the best mode is the one that helps you achieve your desired results. Remember, many professional photographers use a combination of both manual and automatic, depending on the situation presented to them. So is manual mode important? It's not a requirement for taking good photos, but it can be a powerful tool that can unlock your creativity and deepen your understanding of photography. Remember, the journey of learning is just as important as the final image. Are you shooting in manual mode, or does auto do it for you? Share your experiences and questions in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video for more food photography content. Wishing you all a great week, and bye for now.